I am your host, Keith Andrew, along here with Trevor Thompson, and I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, for people who want to know what uncensored is, uncensored is my way of showing people that even with a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any types of disabilities or learning disabilities. But you should never give up, and you should prove to them you can still master something no matter what. Half hour of your time, 45 minutes of your time, have as much time as you like. With that being said, you can say anything you want, curse if you want to, completely talk about whatever you want. This is also your format. You can do whatever you want. Couple minutes, I'm going to pass the show over to you and put you in the driver's seat where you can ask me anything you want or talk about whatever you want. But starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
That's always the toughest question, isn't it? What can I tell you about myself? Well, I'm currently working on a documentary about film music. It's called Score. It's going to be released in the next couple of months or so. It's basically a look at how film music is created, from the first notes a composer hears in his head all the way to the world premiere of a film. So I'm really excited about it. It's been a year and a half long process, but should be good. Should turn out nicely.
Are you able to talk about it, or is it still in production so you can't talk about it?
Oh, we can definitely talk about it.
Hey,
Yeah, feel free to ask me anything you want.
Hey, who influenced you? Well, are you a musician or are you a video producer?
I'm not a musician myself. I'm the executive producer of the film. I wish I were a musician. I think the guys have a lot of talent. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, is because they do this film in the first place, is because I know how talented these guys are, how hard they work, how difficult it is to come up with, a new hour or hour and a half worth of music for every film you do. Since I'm not musically talented myself, I know that's a challenge. So I wanted to sort of highlight these guys and, see what they're all about.
No, absolutely. Now, with that being said, what influenced you? What influenced you to get into this line of work? And what was the passion behind it?
What influenced me? Well, my dad was actually a television composer. Um, he didn't do film, he did TV, but they're pretty similar these days. So I always saw him working on stuff. Not being musical myself, I always wanted to know how he did it, what he did. I learned a lot from him. So I figured, there must be other composers out there with a similar story to him. Just wanted to share those. I went to USC for broadcasting. The rest of my team is comprised of USC graduates like myself, from journalism backgrounds, film backgrounds. We all sort of share a passion for film music. So we just decided, there wasn't a documentary like this, so let's go ahead and do it.
Now, for people who are wondering what USC, you mean the University of Central Florida, right? Not the actual combat UFC.
Oh, USC, the University of Southern California.
Yeah. I think the first time I heard of them, USC, Central University of Florida, the one, not the cockfighting one, was they worked with WeTV when they did Cheerleader U, and they went down there for season 2. Dude, that was a great season. I don't know what happened to that, but
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking about USC, the University of Southern California. The Trojans. Yeah.
Same place.
Yeah.
So, growing up, what was your life like? And were you, let's see. You would think after 290 I've had this down, right? So, what was your life like growing up? What did you major in? And are you happy with everything that you accomplished so far?
Growing up, had a relatively normal childhood. Played a lot of sports growing up. That's probably why I never got into music, because all my time was filled up with sports. Basketball, tennis, that sort of thing. When I got to college, I went to USC and majored in broadcast journalism. just because I like watching SportsCenter. I figured the best way to get on SportsCenter was to major in broadcast journalism. Definitely happy with the way everything's turned out so far. I think the film is going to be great. I think it's going to be really enlightening and insightful. All the composers we've talked to have been really kind enough to share, an hour or two of their time showing us the process that they go through. So it's been really informative for me. It's going to be tough kind of condensing the many hours of footage that we have down into an hour and a half long film. But I'm definitely happy with it so far.
Now, where do you see yourself going? Now, with that being said, let's go backwards now, backtrack. How did you become executive producer? How did that all come about? What's the story behind that?
A friend of mine and I were actually just eating lunch at Panera one day. And we decided, we were both in LA for the first time in a while. We'd had different jobs across the country. We finally found ourselves back in LA at the same time, so we wanted to do a documentary that had to do with film in some regard. We didn't know exactly what in film. So we sat there for about an hour just spitballing ideas. We realized that everything else had been done. There have been documentaries about directors and writers, actors, editors, all that stuff, and nothing really about the musical side of things. So we decided, why don't we'd always wanted to make a documentary on our own. We decided, let's go ahead and do this. He had a bunch of equipment lying around, expensive equipment that I didn't have, so he became the director. I had the journalistic side of everything covered, so I became the executive producer. The guy who goes out and interviews everybody, compiles the footage, that sort of thing. And we just went from there. Our team grew from 2 the first day to, we had 5 or 6 people working with us by week number 2. And we just kept going from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just going to throw that idea out at you. How would you like to do a documentary about me?
How would I do a documentary about you?
Yeah, how would that grab you? You think that's a good idea? You think people would get interested in that? How did a handicapped kid create his own talk show? Do you think that would get people's attentions, or do you think you're like, yeah, I have better things to do?
Oh, I think definitely get people's attention. 90 minutes to 2 hours just learning about you, learning about your life. Is that something you've wanted to do yourself in the past, or?
Thought about it.
Yeah, I can see that being something. Why don't I interview you for a second so we can see how this goes?
Okay, I was gonna pass the show over to you anyway. So
yeah, well, let's do that now. Let's see how interesting you are.
Sure.
Well, just tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you like doing growing up, that sort of thing to get us started here.
All right, you're putting me on the spot, but that's fine. I've been reached out to Fox News. I want to get airtime, so this is perfect. Let's see. A little bit about myself. I am born and raised in Orange County, New York. Been up here half my life. Let's see. We've been up here. We moved in at 87. I was born in 88, so I've been in here in a small town for 29 years.
Oh, wow.
So I've been very interested in what we're talking about, the whole video art. I was always the kid running around with the video camera.
Yeah.
And it's in my book too. I wrote a book, but unfortunately I butchered it. There's a lot of spelling errors. But there's a segment in the book where it says, I joined the audiovisual department. And it's like, oh, Keith is here? Oh, God, he doesn't have a camera. Yes, he does. Hi, Keith. I see you have the camera again. I'm going to shove that camera up your ass. But like I said, it's uncensored. You can say whatever you want. But seriously, that's what they said. It's like, Keith is not going to be here, yeah? Well, keep the camera away from him. But I was the guy running around with the camera. I was labeled, now going to a serious part, the school labeled me for all my life that I was mentally challenged, mentally disturbed, mentally disconnected, retarded, handicapped. I was gotta be a burden for everyone. I was gotta be in a group home. People didn't know what to do with me. And I was up until, let's see, it's 3 years now. So going back to 2010, 5 years ago, I was working in retail. Basically, to make a long story short, I worked for this company while I was in high school. They hired me knowing the fact I had a learning disability. It's basically the job coaching, job shadowing, whatever you want to call it, where you get high school credit, college credit. So the company says we will only hire him if we pay him, and we will. Hey, he has a disability. We'll see how he goes. So I've been there about 3 years, and I had an outside organization like I don't know. I won't mention names, but outside organizations like who helps people with special needs keep the job and come in, talk to the management, make sure they're doing everything they're supposed to. The company didn't like that, so they hired this girl at the time. They hired this Muslim girl, and she's like, "Well, I'm gonna sue for discrimination." I don't know what her story was. It's like, "Well, we can't fire Keith. He can do the same." We need to force Keith out because they didn't like the company now. Didn't like an outside organization looking in on what they were doing because they were doing, and all of this is true. They were doing underhanded bullshit. So they came up with this plan that saying, for it was Keith, and we're gonna make him so sick that he wants to leave. They didn't really want me to get sick. I really don't think. But how we're talking now, you would go to the back. Oh, Keith is stalking me. Keith is doing this. Keith is doing that. But we're just bullshitting. I would get yelled at. Oh, blah 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 this, blah blah that. I go on the south floor. I can't snap my fingers. But you would be like there. You're pretending to be this girl. You would be like there, oh, we're just screwing with you. We're having fun with you. We know you're mentally challenged. We know you have a disability. Don't take it so personally. We're just fucking with you. You know, what on. And they knew I had panic attacks. And growing up, I had anxiety and panic attacks. But this really brought it out to the extreme. It took me a whole year to recover. I couldn't go to Woodbury Commons without vomiting because, first place being in the bathroom. I don't mean to bitch to you, I apologize.
Oh, no worries.
But first place would be to go right to the bathroom and vomit, or I would be yakking a parking lot. People would drive by, so I go, what the hell is wrong with that guy? But I got sick out of it. Took me a year to recover. 2009, I went to West Point. West Point is an army base, for some people know.
The military academy.
Yes, and they were offering classes for people with disabilities to be custodians, custodial arts. So after 6 weeks, I am now certified to work anywhere in New York State as a custodian. Unfortunately, they didn't get the contract, so I was let go. I tried going back at Home Goods, and they wanted someone to be like a custodian, come in, clean the store. But my job coach was hovering around me, and she was making my hands shake. It's like, I can't do this. You either stand over there and let me work, but don't, follow me around the store because I'm going to screw up.
She was micromanaging you.
Yes. And so I said, I can't do this. And took a year off after Hurricane Sandy. Everyone in my family had a disability, one time or another. But now there's one of them's a school teacher, one of them's a poetry writer, the other one's going on tour, the other one's a manager of a store, and I'm like, if you guys can overcome your disabilities, what about me? All I heard was, all my life was saying, go talk to your brother, he has contacts. Okay, what about me? Yeah, you're a different case. We don't know what to deal with people like you. You're going to work in retail for the rest of your life. So I said, fuck it. Like I said, it's uncensored. You can be completely honest, uncensored. Well, on subject, uncensored, freedom of speech, freedom of self-expression. You're getting me fired up, so I'm just expressing myself. So just in case people are sensitive, what's that? By being honest. So people are like, well, we don't know what to do with you. And I said, you know what? To hell with you. I'm going to show you that you call me retarded, mentally challenged, handicapped. I'm going to use that and use that for my advantage. I'm going to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there who are handicapped, who are mentally challenged, saying, you're not dead and you're sure as hell not invisible. So if you're able to live your dream, go and do it. And I interviewed recently a guy who has cerebral palsies.
Yeah.
He's in a wheelchair, but he's a filmmaker. I
Wow.
also interviewed another woman who's paralyzed in a wheelchair, but she's also a film actor.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if these people can do it, what's my excuse? Why should I have an excuse? So I created my talk show back in 2013. People said it was never going to amount to anything. You're stalking people. You're taking advantage of people. You're guilt tripping them, and all that's bullshit.
Yeah.
But it was only after I got on the radar of professional actors, professional athletes, and my brother went for a meeting with a doctor and a scientist.
Yeah.
And until he heard it from a professional in that big of a league, that's when it's like, oh, I guess Keith is finally doing something. So thanks to you, we're up to 290. And I interview actors, actresses, models, CEOs,
Wow.
professional wrestlers, dancers, you name them, I got them.
Do you still have the numbers of any of those models you interviewed?
Not really. But yeah, maybe I can look them up.
I'm kidding. Don't worry about that.
But
do you have any of them stick out as personal favorites?
I would say my top 5 out of 290 would be let's see, Vince Russo, Lenny Pablo, the brother of the Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah. Let's see, Kurgan Mayhem, who did Goldar from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Tristan Mangrant. You ever play Mortal Kombat versus DC? You still there, or did it freeze?
I played a little Mortal Kombat back in the day.
Oh, sorry about that. I locked up. So you played Mortal Kombat versus DC, right? Well,
Mortal Kombat back in the day.
Well, I interviewed a guy who does the Joker from the video game, Richard Epcar. There's a lot of them. I have endorsements. There's a website. Did it freeze again? Anything? Yoo-hoo! Alright,
Hello.
how's it now?
I can hear you.
I can hear you, but the picture is kind of fading in and out. But I have actually there's a website where I'm working with called Celebrity CM, where and I'm on there as well. So if people want a celebrity shout out from me, from Melena Perez, from Kansas Michelle, from Hulk Hogan, to these other big stars, just go to Celebrity CM. Cheapest one would be like $20, but some actors and actresses would want $200. Dennis Rodman, for God knows why, he wants $500 for a personal message. But the point is, if you give them the money, they will wish you a happy birthday, a congratulations, if you give a shout out. So I met Milena Perez, I met Velvet Sky, and I met a couple other ones who I really like from TNA, WWE, and they support my talk show after meeting them, and a couple I introduced myself to. But hey, if they can back me up, and I'm doing a good thing, that's all basically what matters. And I hope that answers your question.
So you're at 290 now. Do you want to get to 500 or 1,000, or do you just want to? Do you have a number you want to get to, like 1,000 episodes?
Well, my first goal when I started season one, I said, wouldn't it be funny if I reached 100? And I did. And that was
You're way better now, yeah.
And now it's up to 290. I'm reaching 300. And it still gets me. And I'm going to ask you this. Do numbers really matter? Because people say, well, you have a great format, wink, wink. You have this great format. Why aren't you as big or bigger when you portray yourself to be? Why don't you have sponsors? Why don't you have this or that? I don't know. I'm doing the best I can with a learning disability. Would you like to help me with that? No, if you can't do it yourself, then it's not meant to be. I was like, okay, thanks a lot, asshole. But, like I said, I promote myself. I find people myself. I'm always on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. So the question I was going to ask you for sponsors and having people support, do you think, I'm going back to you, for what you're doing, do you think that really matters, or do you think just because you have a good message, that's good enough?
I think the message comes first, obviously. Numbers, I think, can be important to some people. You just gotta know who you're dealing with. Some people just want to see, cold hard numbers. That's how they make decisions. Really depends on the decision maker in the end. Me, I like a message, but there are guys out there who want to see cold hard numbers just because, their jobs depend on them being able to show proof that they did the research into something, that they got the best product they could, and that's where they think the numbers come in. Personally, though, I think you're doing a great job, man.
No, I appreciate it. Now, what's your opinion about you interviewing me? Did I come across pretty good, or I know I'm kind of stiff because I'm still working on it?
Hey, no, man. I've interviewed a lot of people, and you're really natural.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I've seen way stiffer people. Trust me, I've interviewed politicians and athletes, and they don't come across natural at all.
No, I hear you. Now, wrapping up, do you have anything you want to say to your fans and listeners? How can they follow you on social media? Are you on Facebook, Twitter?
Yeah, you can follow the documentary on all forms of social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's at Score Movie, so that's Score, SCORE movie. Again, we're on all forms of social media, so check us out. We'll be posting updates on the documentary, posting some new people that we've interviewed, and showing you a little behind the scenes footage and everything. So it's a good follow. It's a worthwhile follow. Trust me.
Now, the last segment I'm going to ask you before I let you go is I took this from Bill O'Reilly, going on the record, so all credit goes to the factor. But going on the record, when I first approached you about being a guest on my talk show, what was your, and you can say anything you want, what was your honest opinion, what was your first reaction, and how you feel now?
First reaction? I didn't know who you were at first. No, but no, I was glad you approached me again. Yeah, I think it's been a good experience. I recommend that other people do it. They spend 30 minutes just chatting with you, getting to know you a little bit better, and you do a great job of letting people, get out what they want to say, which is nice because a lot of people in interviews, they have an agenda or they have, certain things that they want to talk about, and the stuff that you want to talk about doesn't get heard as much. So you do a good job of that, man.
No, I appreciate it. Now, wrapping up this segment, I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.